Just a little series on the mysteries of Christianity. The three fundamental mysteries um, are the Trinity, the Incarnation, and the Virgin Birth, or Mary's birth of God. And actually, it's nice to remember them using, like when you cross yourself, uh, these three fingers, Trinity. Uh, these two fingers are human, divine nature of Christ, and then the whole hand is Mary giving birth to God. Um, because Mary gave birth to not just Jesus's human form, but to the entire Godhead. To start the series, I'll just reflect for a moment on what a mystery is. So, a mystery is a type of knowledge. I mean, even calling the thing about a mystery, first of all, is that the distinction between reality and knowledge uh, starts to dissolve because um, a mystery is a spiritual fact of some kind. So it's singular, like it has, almost like a work of art, but but not a work of art because it's divine. Um, but it's like a particular state of affairs. Like for example, that Christ was incarnated. Um, that God was incarnated as Christ, um, and there's no um, there's no way to translate the fact into different terms. So it's singular, it's untranslatable. You can't say it's like this is a psychological, it's a metaphor, or it's a psychological phenomenon, or it's useful in some way, or it's a prototype or an archetype of moral behavior, or it's just a tradition, right? It's real. It's not translatable, and um, it it sort of beckons contemplation, right? It sort of makes you want to understand it in the same way that like any interest uh, of like any interest that someone has makes someone want to understand that. Whether it's like you're interested in history and you're like, okay, I'm going to study history now, or you're a scientist and you're on the verge of a discovery and there's a method for making the discovery or trying to verify it, or whatever, exploring. So it seems to beckon discursive knowledge that we can attain in other domains, but in this case, um, you can't attain discursive knowledge about it, right? It just can't be known uh, from the outside like that. It can't be mastered and grasped. Um, Instead, the process of attempting to contemplate it, um, it's like an enzyme kind of. It has a transformative effect on the person. So the knowledge, the attempt to know, instead of like gaining hold of it, what happens instead is that it's the reverse. Like it gains hold of you, basically. It transforms you. All of a sudden, I become an object for God by contemplating God. And oh, so how does one contemplate a mystery? I think it's important to underscore that um, trying to contemplate a mystery using concepts or philosophy is one way to do it, and private meditative practice is very powerful as well. But that also experience of rituals, of sort of participating in sacraments, like the Eucharist, for example, um, or even just something like going to church and reciting scripture, singing, seeing, hearing certain things, communing with sort of others in a faith community, like that all is actually part of like contemplation. So it's not just intellectual contemplation or aesthetic contemplation. There is a interpersonal sort of collective and even like spatial aspect to it, and um, saying you might hear that and then think, oh, this is just um, like nothing that profound if like you can just sort of access it through a ritual or something. But the whole point is that that's not the case, and actually um, our intersubjectivity is something that we shouldn't take for granted, and that there's some sense in which like we are all one, that like no, I don't personally think that anybody would have personal individual consciousness like we all have if it weren't for the fact that that consciousness is like one part of a larger sort of group mind, that we all live in. So the collectivity is important, um, and yeah, and it's important not to overvalue uh, intellect and reasoning in this context anyway. So yeah, actions, motions, in addition to habits and sights and sounds and so forth, are part of contemplating a mystery. Um, so I'll just say that much for now in this one little clip, this one little video, and you can expect soon just a video about the mystery of the Holy Trinity, the mystery of the incarnation of God as Jesus Christ, and the mystery of Mary and her role in giving birth to God.